It's Jeff of Violence and Psychosomatic. Thanks for stopping by.
What's up? Stoked to be here.
So, dude, I got lucky and I got to sit next to you at Danzig. That was a great show. Have you gone to see him prior? Have you been a fan for a while? Tell me about your relationship with that band.
I saw Danzig the first tour. It was back in 1990 at the Stone in San Francisco. And I don't even remember who opened, but it was sold out, packed, because I was a big Misfits, Sam Hain fan. I got a bunch of memorabilia, Misfits box set. Sammy, you know what? Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
Check this. Sorry.
No, I want to see.
Misfits box set.
Wow.
Thing is dope. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. Got a booklet. It's got a bunch of CDs. This thing's worth like a lot of money. It's really cool. It's got a pin in it. And this, you can tell it's the authentic one because the pin's kind of faded. It's kind of like brown. It used to be white, but that shows it's the first printing of it. So it's worth a lot of money. I don't know how much because I'm not a nerd. And then I got this Sam Hain thing. It's a box set. It's really cool. It's got all their albums. And then when Danzig came out, I was like, all right, it's watered down. It's sexy. The girls love it. And I was like, but it was cool because he played a bunch of Misfits songs and I couldn't have been more happy. It was an awesome show. He put on a great show. And I hadn't seen him since then. So when I saw him sitting next to you, he was amazing.
Yeah.
He was belting it out like he did the first time, and he was awesome. And I'm a big fan of Tommy Victor, the guitar player, because he's in Prong. So it was a double bonus. It was great. And then, the other bands, they're cool, but I like Danzig. I was there for Danzig.
I like Down too. I'm a fan of Down and Danzig. And We Survived. There was actually a meth addict kind of close by and smacking my friend and going crazy. So I'm glad no one got severely hurt, but it was a little bit of a scary show. And I thought, I'm not in a mosh pit. We're not going to get injured, but we were in nice seats and it was still a little dangerous, a little dicey.
My wife was like, why are these girls sitting in your seat? I was telling them, like, move over. And once I told her about the lady, she goes, oh, that's probably why they were there.
Yes. Well, I told my girlfriend, Alyssa, we got to scoot over one if we can, because her arms were her fists were closed and getting really close to my girlfriend's face. And I'm like, she's going to and she was on one. It wasn't like someone you could rationally be like, hey, I love music. I love rocking out, but can we be a little mindful of our space? You could tell she was on a good one, which I've been there. I'm not judging, but it was dangerous a little bit.
Yeah, I've been there too, but by yourself, nobody around you, and you're doing this, pretty bad.
Yeah. But I felt safe next to you. Okay, so you've said you've been on it. Do you have like a drug or choice in the past that you used to partake in?
Yes. My drug of choice was women.
Yeah. Oh my God, mine was men and women. Some women. I am a sex addict.
It's all neurosynapses in your brain that you do with sugar or alcohol or whatever, right? But I loved women. And then I'm married now, so that's out of the picture.
Beautiful wife. Beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, she's great. She's my best friend. And she was sober for a long time. And I kind of she never, ever pushed it onto me. She's like, just be yourself. Do what you do. I'll be here if you need me. And that was like the best case scenario because I had to run its course, right? I had to run that crap out of my system. And then eventually, but when I did party, alcohol, big time. I was a big booze head and I loved pills, Vicodins, Norco, even graduated to OxyContin, a lot of good stuff. And I love that stuff. I love alcohol. I love pills. I like getting really shit housed. That's why I don't do it. I can't do it because I can't. I'm not a guy that can just have one beer. It's not going to happen. I've already learned that like one beer will be 2 beers tomorrow. It'll be a case next week. It'll be shots of whiskey. Then I was only having I would have one beer and like pound a fifth of Jameson. But I'd had this beer. So I'm like, I only had this one beer, I'm not that drunk and I'm just on the side, shot, knocking them back. And then a couple of my friends at bars would see me with one beer and I'd be hammered. And they'd be all, what's the matter with you? And I'm like, well, I'm popping OxyContin, and that's the best thing ever. You have one beer. You don't need any more. You don't even need the beer, really. And I was just drooling and hammered, and they were just like, "What the hell is wrong with you? How can you get hammered off of one beer?" I was really good at hiding my addictions, and I
Yeah.
had a lot of fun, lots and lots of fun, and I don't regret it because it taught me it's how I got here, right? I mean, there's really no way around it. The only regret I have about sobriety is I didn't do it sooner, and that's really all up
Yeah.
to me. And I'm not gonna get all preachy and anything because I had a blast. I had a lot of fun, especially on tour with my friends, my buddies, and just doing the wildest, craziest shit you could ever imagine. Never thinking that we could actually do something like that, and much less get away with it and get paid for it, and just the whole thing being an idiot on stage, pretty much.
I feel you. I have no regrets because I've had life experience and I've had great times. Of course, have I gotten a little bit of legal issues? Yeah, I'm not saying, my heavy drinking and, I liked pills. I started smoking heroin a little bit. I got into a little bit of everything, but definitely men were the main drug. And I felt like I just drank and did drugs to get to the source, which was like rock stars. And that was my little bit of a obsession. But you know what I was going to say too? I love the pics that you gave us, and you're very artistic. I see you've got some skateboards and some, drums that you're an artist as well. So when did you
But,
start getting into the art part and not just playing music?
well, I did the art first. I was in art from kindergarten. I was drawing. I could draw really well. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're a good artist. You should be a millionaire. You'll make a ton of money," which is exact opposite of what happens
Yeah.
when you're an artist. The term "starving artist" is very accurate. But
Yeah.
I got into, I was like a kid, got into skateboards and comic books when I was really young, before I even got into heavy metal, and then eventually metal came in, and I just, I was in junior high back then, where nowadays you call it middle school, like 7th, 8th grade, and I had some friends, and my grandfather bought me an acoustic guitar for my birthday, and then I fell in love with that, and then artwork just got pushed out, and for a long time I didn't draw, but I always could, and I just kind of didn't care because music was so much quicker, it was so much more gratifying, it was so fast compared to being alone by yourself in a room with nobody around, just you and your demons. That's what my art comes from. It's why it's kind of dark and weird, because I was literally, you're just by yourself, you're in a room and you're just drawing and you're not thinking about anything else in the outside world. It is an escape, but music is so much more like, boom, you have instant access, people want to be your friends, they're giving you every drug you want. Once you walk out of the van, they're just like, "What do you need?" I'm like, "Wow, this is great." So that's kind of where my life drifted that way and just went right downhill. But it was a good
You're
time.
really talented too. You're good at drawing. I think you knew if you set down the pencil though and you pick up a guitar, you're going to get more bitches that way. You know,
I,
it's a fact.
I always like to say it was because of me, because I'm a charming guy, a personality, right? No.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, how
I,
do I get backstage? Oh, I work in radio. So if I work in radio, then I can get closer to hot dicks with guitars. So you got to figure that out, at a young
I,
age.
asked, I asked my wife if that's true. Like, is that what you guys do to, like, what is it? She goes, "You know what? I got to tell you, I love you. You're great. But when you put on that guitar, you're a totally different person." I'm like, "Really? How does that work?" I don't know. When I
It
put on the
is.
guitar, I'm thinking it's an instrument I can't fuck up. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about everybody's looking at me. I'm literally thinking about, do your job, do the best you can, focus, get it done. And then all of a sudden I noticed that all these girls have these big old eyeballs, and I'm like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty.
It's hot. It's sexy. Definitely. Something about a
You,
guy performing
you
on
can be a
stage.
guy that's not attractive at all, like myself, fat and ugly, and you can still get girls. All you got to do is put on the guitar, boom, girls galore.
I know I'm
So,
trying to bang a comedian that's kind of chunky right now. So I mean, it's when you're doing something really cool and you're confident on stage, that's sexy. That's where it's at. Okay,
like,
so when did you join Violence?
I didn't really join. I just got asked about a month ago if I could fill in because they lost their bass player. He just quit. And I've known Sean for a long time, for a bunch of years. And actually, the story's pretty cool. He showed up to one of our shows. Oh, I met him through a friend at a club, and he came and checked out my band because he actually liked our music. And he kept going to our local shows. His ex-wife at the time, would call me and say, "Hey, can you put us on the guest list?" I was like, "Who is this?" "Oh yeah, absolutely, come on in." And so every time we play, they would show up and they would just sit there quietly and just watch us. And it was really cool. And then he got really sick and he had some like liver issue. And then a promoter asked me if we could do a benefit for him. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Without question. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And we did it, and it was at the Blue Lamp in Sacramento. I want to say 2018. And then I got invited to do a big benefit in the Bay Area in SF. And it was with the guys from Testament, Exodus, Death Angel, Forbidden, like all these bands in Mordred, all these bands in the Bay Area came to help a brother out. And they've done this before for Chuck Billy too. It was really cool. It was a good set. And I was honored to be a part of it, that they asked me to. And it was an ordeal to make it happen, but I made it happen. It was really cool. And then one day I was at NAMM down in LA, and the guitar player Phil hit me up and he was like, hey dude, do you want to open for our reunion show? And I heard they were getting back together and I saw it was sold out, but I was like, well, let me check and see if I can work, because I got to work, and let me see if I can get that. He's, are you really going to ask me? You're really going to tell me what day? Like, really? I'm like, all right, well, he's just figure it out, man. So I was like,
yeah, get fired. Fuck it. Live in a van. Exactly. Just, you got to get there. Exactly. You got to do it, you know? So, yeah, I love NAMM.
So Phil had us on the show. It was sold out. It was packed. It was at the Oakland Metro, big, huge crowd, really receptive. It was awesome. And then after that, Sean got the band back together full on. And because they had been broken up for a long time, but they're back together now and they're crushing. And he just, the bass player quit. It was just announced on Blabbermouth about a month ago. And Sean just hit me up. He was all, hey, do you want to do these dates? And I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. And,
hell yeah.
I just picked up I know the music. I've listened to them since I was a kid. And then when I got into it, I started learning the material. I was like, wow, this stuff's a lot harder than I thought it was. I was like, wow, this stuff's really technical. So I just hunkered down, grinded it out, and now I got it down. And we're going to have our rehearsal soon. So I'm really excited. And they're all good dudes. They're all awesome guys in the band.
Yeah. And they're San Francisco. We're SAC. We're close by. And I know you brought up Testament. They're going to be at Aftershock this year. Are you going to pop into Aftershock this year?
I've never been to an Aftershock, and I've lived.
No way. So that's my jam. I correspond now for 11 years. That is my Super Bowl of my life.
That's all. I've just
you gotta go.
I just never thought about it, because I usually go to club shows, and I've been doing it for so long. If it's like a big giant show, I rarely ever go, because it's too much. It's too many people. I'm like,
me too, to be honest. I don't leave, not to sound spoiled, like my little backstage area. I don't see a lot of the show when everyone's like, how was that band? I'm interviewing all day for 8 to 10 hours, kind of mentally drained. I'll try to see a headliner and I'll pop to the side real quick and then I'll hide again. I'm not like, I used to be out in the center in the mosh pits crowd surfing, and it's rare you're going to see me do that nowadays, because I get a little bit of social anxiety, which is super crazy because I was such a wild party girl, but now I'm like, too many people, like, or I get spoiled and everything's so loud and stuff now that I like how we got our seats. Like, I like front row seats. Like, I want to know I'm cozy and I can see the band, and I'm older. I need to chill. Well, okay, I'm going to connect you with somebody to email when we get off this to get you a good pass, because I feel like, you'd enjoy it and you should be able to not pay.
When is it?
It is October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to look. It's so big. I get like social anxiety even talking about it. I'm like, ugh. Because wow. I mean, if you're gonna be there, maybe we'll come out and we'll check it out and it'll be fun. At least to hang out, But when I was drinking, all that stuff was rad. I'd go to big old shows all the time, and I was drinking. It was, now that I'm sober, I can't deal. It was too much.
I feel you, because I lightly drink. Like I have 2 or 3 drinks. I've gotten it to a good spot where I have 2 Jack and Cokes, and it calms me. But when I used to get shammered and be on a little bit of cocaine and alcohol, I'm like, fuck it. I'd be bleeding down my leg. Like, let's go back in the pit. Like, not even giving a fuck. And now I'm like, there's more than 40 people. I gotta go this way. Like, I don't know. It happens, dude. Oh, you got a booty call. What's happening?
No.
Wife's like, let's go. Okay, so
denied.
Your other band, Psychosomatic, which by the way, I think of Prodigy in the 90s. They were like, Psychosomatic, Attic Insane. I don't know if you ever heard that crazy song. But what do they think about Yeah, okay. I was like, I loved that song. It was fun in the clubs back in the day. So what do they think about you joining on to Violence, and are they cool with it?
Well, it's my band, so they don't care. Okay, what's
Okay.
kind of cool is my current guitar player is in Havoc. He tours. Drummer's in Morbicon. Well, he was in Morbicon. He's everybody's in other bands, so nobody's like. It's all about when we have time to do everything. Just like when you asked about Aftershock, the first thing I said was, when is it? Because our lives are so, everybody's in every band you can think of. Like everybody's got other bands going on. So it's Psychosomatic comes together when we're free, which is rare. But I do want
Yeah.
to do an album again. Eventually, I want to do a new album with the current members, Brett Beckford Tig and Toby Swope. And definitely want to get together and write. I have material I've written for it, but this Violence thing just kind of pushed everything back, and it's okay because it's Violence. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. This is my jam right here. These guys are legendary.
Oh, I
This is
love it. It looks like a vagina right there. That's what happens when you
like,
date women.
like a giant prolapse.
Yeah, you got swallowed.
But this is the best Bay Area thrash band that I like. I think they're awesome.
So what is I'm not as familiar with the Bay Area because I was in LA for so long and now I've been up in SAC for about 8-9 years. So is there a huge thrash metal scene out in the Bay Area?
It's all from the Bay Area.
That's
Back
sick.
in the Big Four was like, you had all these bands, but like you had like two of the Big Four bands were like, let me see, you got Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax, right? Those are the big ones. Metallica moved up to LA, or from LA to San Francisco to live there. That's where they got their big start from. Slayer was from LA, but they would dominate in the Bay Area. Then the Bay Area had Exodus, Testament, Violence, Death Angel, Forbidden. All these, they had the predominant thrash metal scene was from the Bay Area, and it influenced everybody. So yeah, the Bay Area is thrash metal. That's the thrash metal mecca. And me being a little kid, a little snot-nosed kid of 18 years old, we would always go see Violence. We were all about Violence. That was our band. We were like, they're the shit. And I started writing music that sounded like Violence. And then eventually the 90s hit and we started going punk rock, skateboards, because that's what we like to do. We like to skate. We were skaters way before we ever
I
played
love to
music.
skate in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we would all do the same thing. We'd all drink, we'd all do drugs, and we'd all get in a van and go somewhere to skate or go to a concert, one or the other, or the both. And that was the basis of Psychosomatic. The whole band is based on skateboards, drugs, alcohol, party. And then we moved to Sacramento because I got in a lot of legal trouble. I had a domestic. I fought a guy that was banging my girlfriend, whatever. But I went
So
to jail
hot.
over it.
That's love right there. I got a couple of restraining orders against exes, it's sexy though. The effort is hot.
But anyways, I got in trouble, and then I moved from Salinas to Sacramento, and I told my PO, I was like, if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna be right back in jail. He's like, get out of here. So I was like, I came to Sac and started all over. I didn't know anybody in Sac. Just our whole band moved here. I didn't know anybody. It was a really weird vibe. It was like 90, 98, 97. And I just didn't know anybody, and we had to find our way. And as soon as we started playing shows, everybody's like, "Oh, you guys are from the Bay Area." It was our sound that we had borrowed from them, and it definitely, everybody thought we were a Bay Area band. I was like, "No, we're from Salinas, California. Yeah. It's down Monterey. It's a really small town, and everybody hates each other, and they all talk shit about
I love
each other.
Salinas. I go there a lot. I do Moto America. It's a motorcycle championship, and so I stay in Salinas once a year for Moto America, and great strawberries. And then my family lives out in Capitola, so kind of right near that area. But the weather sucks in Sac compared to the Bay Area. But I like it here. I really do.
I'm used to it. I got used to it after a while. I work in it, so I don't care. At first
it's affordable.
Yeah, exactly. We can go on tour things.
Yeah. And I'm like a Sacramento 6, and like an LA 4. So the odds of me getting laid in Sacramento are much better. I like that. Okay. Do you have a favorite bass player that you kind of looked up to?
When I was a kid, I used to like Steve Harris. Iron Man. He's like, have these, like, he was just hold bass up and hold it like a machine gun. And he's really good. you ever listen to Iron Maiden, it's all bass guitar. You know, people don't realize about the band. They're not just a hip band. That bass guitar is just awesome. And then I never wanted to play bass guitar. I always wanted to be a lead vocalist or a guitar player, but nobody wanted to play bass. So I ended up doing it. And then I just stuck with it because everybody was like, I don't want to play bass. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'll do it. And I'll just be a bass player. And I just kind of focused on that. And singing and playing at the same time it was really challenging. So I had to write the music where it would work, you know, where I'm not doing something crazy. I could sing. And then when I'm not singing, I could do something nuts, you know. And now I was playing with Violence. It's like their music, you can't do it. I was like, there's no way that you could sing what he's singing and play music at all. He has to be a singer to sing that way and play, because their music's way more complicated than us. And I didn't realize it until I actually started digging in, and it was pretty exciting. I'm really happy to just be a bassist now, and then really fall in love with bass guitar. But yeah, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, and then I liked Mike Dean from EOC, from Corrosion of Conformity. He was a big influence on me when I was really, because he was back then, Corrosion of Conformity was a punk band. They weren't like the heavy down.
I've never heard of them.
Well, you heard of Down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guitar players, the blonde blondish guitar player, he's from Corrosion of Conformity.
Oh, okay.
If you've heard them, you probably heard their songs before, but they've been around a long time.
And probably didn't know that I heard them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're great. They're an awesome band. They went from a punk band to like a stoner rock band, which is, they just got old and got tired of playing 100 miles an hour, basically, you know. And I kind of envy that, because I see why bands do that. Why Danzig did it too. He was playing really fast in the Misfits. Now he's slow. Because now that I'm older in age, I'm like, it's brutal. It's brutal playing 100 miles an hour. You know, it's like, oh my God, I don't know how Slayer did it for so long.
Yeah.
Pretty.
That's why I stopped banging young guys. They have too much energy. I go for really old and slow guys now, so I can keep up.
There's my girl. That's my girl.
Hi. My boy's asleep, my Lou boy. You know, Nikki Sixx said he likes playing the bass because it's not as technical and he has time to look out in the audience and see where the hot groupies are that he could go for later. That was an interview in the late 90s. So
he doesn't even play bass. I heard he just has it backtracked.
Oh, that sounds very Motley Crue and Kiss. You know, I feel like they're all just like fireworks and a little bit of, you know, pizzazz that they're like, look over here.
That was Mick Mars that threw him under the.
Well, that was big. That was huge. I was reporting on that of like, wow, you know, and then they toured without him and he sued them and wanted, you know, 1/4 of the profits, you know, because he medically couldn't tour. And that is a slippery slope because he's such a founding member. And, you know, I love John 5. I'm a huge John 5. He's come by my station like 3 times and him and his wife are lovely. But that's rough. When you're a founding member for that many years, I do think you should get a little piece of the pie.
I like Nikki Sixx. I read the Heroin Diaries. I like his journey. I like that he's clean and sober now. It's awesome. I mean, he lived a life that is insane. I would not want to live his life. You know, everybody's like, oh, he's got money and glitz and glamour. But when you understand what was on the flip side of that, hell no, that sounds so dark.
He had a lot of trauma and massive addiction. Yeah.
For him to pull out of that the way he has is extremely commendable. Hats off to him.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
Okay, can I ask you fun random questions?
Oh boy, here we go. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Well, some of it's crazy, some of it's not. Okay, favorite concert you've ever attended?
Bad Brains, 1986, San Francisco. That's right off the bat. It was Bad Brains, DRI, at this place called the Farm in SF, and it was literally a farm in San Francisco, like in the middle of the city. And they had the venue was like a shed, like a gigantic metal shed. It was big, it was huge. And they had actually like pigs and cows downstairs and everything. It was a real farm. And they had a big stage, and it was so packed in there, the roof was dripping condensation, like sweat. Like it was really gross.
Oh my
God. And the entire venue was billowing with pot smoke, because it's the Bad Brains. They're like a reggae punk band. They have dreadlocks and they're really spastic. They jump around the crowd, do backflips. I mean, they're old now, but back in the day, they were the best band in the world. And I got to see them when I was 16 years old. And when I saw them, it just blew my mind. Literally, to this day, when I think about it, it was crazy. The the bouncers that were on the stage to keep people back had bowls of weed, and they were smoking it too, and everybody was smoking it. Back then, weed was not like how it was today. It was way more illegal to smoke weed back then. Nowadays, it's like nothing. You'll get it with a credit card. Nobody cares. Cops don't even care. Back then, if you even had a joint, you're going to jail. It was sketchy.
You could even get contact high. That 39 years ago, to still remember it, that's a really good show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
You know what's crazy is after all the partying and shit I did, I'm blessed that I can remember most, except for when I got blacked out, obviously. But like I remember the like little time periods like that, like when I was young. But yeah, Bad Brains definitely, hands down. It's a show that I didn't expect to be that awesome. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Okay, do you have a pet peeve?
A pet peeve? What do you mean?
Something that kind of annoys you that people do or society does.
Yeah, they drive vehicles.
That?
I hate, well, because I work in traffic control. I got to deal with people driving. And I used to be a driver, like for a professional driver, like for delivery or route or whatever. And I hate driving. Just drives me crazy because nobody cares. Everybody's on their phone and everybody's reckless and everybody wonders why there's car accidents every day. It's just retarded.
Yeah.
For lack of better. I don't get how people drive so carelessly and they complain about it. And then those guys that are doing burnouts in the streets and like
the sideshows.
I think it's funny. Like, you just broke some dude's leg. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I guess it's funny to sit there on a reel and watch it on Instagram, but that's a real person getting crushed by a vehicle and everybody's laughing about it. It's just ridiculous. I've seen enough car accidents and wrecks where I don't think it's funny at all. So that is a pet peeve, is drivers.
I think we've been desensitized too with social media and how many times we've seen people get hurt or killed. Now it's not as big a deal as it was 20 years ago, where I think I would have been freaked out. And now I'm just like, oh, somebody else broke their leg on a video. You know, I don't want to watch it, but it'll come up on my page. And it's just like, ugh.
And I saw a thing and it said Sacramento was, this is a while back in like 2019, Sacramento was #1 for worst drivers. And then it came down to like #3, but it's still ridiculous when you're out in Citrus Heights looking at people drive down Madison at 60, 70 miles an hour. I'm like, wow. All it takes is one cat to come out and then the car swerves and it's a wreck, you know?
And that per capita, we have the most accidents. And it was interesting that one of my friends said, well, we're a city, even though it's still a small city, we're a city surrounded by a lot of cow towns and smaller towns. So it's a lot of people commuting into busier traffic city that live in like Galt, Linden, you know, Lincoln, all these Elk Grove, smaller towns that don't understand how to work downtown city driving. And so I think that does cause an accident. Like a lot of other cities, you live in the city or it's such a large city or surrounded by sub cities. We're like this like giant mecca with all these farming communities kind of close by, which I dig, but I think it's not a good setup for driving downtown Sag.
Reminds me of Salinas, just like a big Salinas, all farming community and a lot of travel. But yeah. Drivers suck.
Yeah.
Get off your day.
Get off your phone. Yes. Yeah, I'm off my phone. Okay, what is your wildest sex story, or that you can tell if you're allowed to?
I can't tell it. It's
okay.
Too much, but talk about one of them. That's pretty wild.
What's a mildish wild that you won't get arrested? I'm just
Nah, I'm not. There's nothing. Well, public, I guess. You get arrested for that, right? Being naked in public.
Oh my God. I've done a lot of things in public. Never been arrested for that, but.
Well, I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of threesomes. I was in a relationship before I was married with my wife and another girl, and we had a lot of fun until she lied to me and told us that she lied to told us that she was not seeing her ex, but she actually was. So that turned into drama and she had to go. But yeah, I videoed it and it was pretty funny, and it got out to the Bay Area. Not the video, but the story got out. And I was horrified because I get out, and she went and told everybody, the girl that was ousted. So that got
so you almost had like 2 girlfriends at once?
Well, what it was I I was really heartbroken from my ex. And so I said I was going to be single for a year. And this was back in, I think it was 2011. I can't remember. And I was single for a long time. And I had 20 something girls I was dating, but I told them all, hey, I'm single. I'm dating other people. If you don't like it, I understand. If you want to leave, totally cool. But it was kind of cool. Like a lot of them kind of treated it like it was a contest. I was kind of
Ah,
laughing. I was like, what are you doing? Like, they were just like, what are we doing? Why are we even wasting our time with you? You don't even like us. I'm like, that's not true. I just don't want to be committed. So a lot of them started becoming friends with each other. And I'd have them on like 3 or 4 or 5 way phone calls. And it was hilarious. I mean, even they would be on the phone going, what are we doing? Like, this is ridiculous.
you
And
were a pimp. You were a total pimp. That's
it,
awesome.
it all kind of dwindled down to a couple because they were just like, this guy's ridiculous. I'm out of here. And a lot of them I'm still friends with. And
Yeah.
some of them hate my guts. They hate my guts. I don't know why. I was very honest with them. Whatever. And it was really awkward. One was married. It was terrible. Their marriages, they made it, but I was a bad person. And then
It
yeah,
happens.
my it was down to like 3 of them, and my wife was one of them, and they are still good friends, which is
Oh my
hilarious.
gosh. So she was in this running and she like won the contest. She was on The Bachelor and didn't know it.
It wasn't a contest, but I guess.
And she
Yeah,
won the Jeff Bachelor ABC. You got the final rose to your wife. Oh my gosh, go her. That's legit. So now she's like, look at me. Oh
she
my
was
God.
she was very, I guess, tolerant.
Patient.
Well,
Yeah,
she was like, okay,
tolerant.
because I know what you are, I know who you are, I know what you do. Just don't be disrespectful to me. I was like, all right, whatever. And I did a lot of
Yeah.
touring, and her kind of just being like, whatever you want to do it, drew me to her. Because I just felt like she was so like carefree. I'm like, hey, shouldn't you be like obsessed and crazy over me? What the hell?
Yeah.
Why are you so? No, she was like, whatever, just come to me when you want, and I just came like a little puppy
She
right
gave you
over
a
to her.
loose leash. I think that works for most people, but I'm the opposite. I like obsessive, crazy, leash me, collar me, be like, no one can look at you. I like that kind
Oh,
of
you like
leash.
guys over you? I'm
Yeah.
the opposite of that. I can't
Yeah.
ever. No, I can't. I know guys that do that, and I feel bad for
Yeah.
them. I did it once, and that was the
Yeah.
time that I told to jail, and I'll never do it again. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Learn
Yeah.
my
I
never
like
again.
simps. Okay, if you could bring back anyone from the dead to have dinner with, who would it be and why?
Would they be like a corpse, or would they be like at their peak?
They would be at their peak. They're calling you from the
So,
grave right now.
anyone, a famous celebrity, or
Anyone. It
just?
could be famous or it could be just a family member, somebody that
Well, I would say my friend OC. He was like one of my best friends. He passed away in 2020 from before COVID. It was in January. It was from cancer. He had bone marrow cancer. But I know that if that happened, all we would do is go out and get fucking shit house hammered and do a bunch of blow, and it'd be
yeah.
awesome. Great time. He was my partner in crime. I love him to this day, and I miss him very much. But we kind of drifted as soon as I got clean and sober, and then he passed away, and I was really fucked up from it. It fucked me up. But other than that, like a celebrity type person, I don't know. It has to be somebody I know, and I know plenty of people. This girl Shannon, that was a really good friend of mine. She passed away. She had really bad complications of diabetes, and we were really close for a long time. And we'd probably just hang out and talk all night, and we'd have dinner. And she was one of my best friends. But she passed away a long time ago. I was a pallbearer at a funeral. It was pretty rough. But yeah,
Damn.
we would. She was kind of like you in a way. Like all she did was flirt with guys. She fucking went out with as many rock stars. She went out with Mike Ness from Social D. I know she was all on Nikki Sixx's tip. I don't know if she actually hooked up with them. I don't think she did. But every rock star that came by, she would be at the show, backstage, doing God knows what. I don't even want to know. But
I like
she
her.
was got such a good friend. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, she sounds like my kind of girl. I dig her. Okay, what is a food dish that you think is better than sex?
Filet mignon at Morton Steakhouse. It's like
Ooh,
butter. Have you ever been to
fancy.
Morton?
Yes, only if my mom's paying though. But I
Yeah,
like that place. Yeah.
that's a
It's
$200 dish, man. Fucking brutal. I
yeah,
just
or a
I like it
tomahawk.
medium well, just perfect. You just dip into it. It's like butter. I mean, it tastes something like you can't make that at home. There's no way. You have to be a master chef to get that good. But better than sex. Yeah, I'm later in life. Sex isn't that important to me. I mean, it is, but it's not like crazy important like it used to be. I was a
A good
fiend.
steak can get, it can be more important nowadays.
Okay, like if I see a commercial with a good steak, I make a noise like, oh. Or if I see a hot chick on TV, I'm like, oh. So the
The
comparisons
steak.
they're very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then I'm gonna play a game in my show. So this is a reverse Uno card. So reverse, you can ask me any question that you want.
Okay.
I'm scared. No, I'm scared.
How many guys have you been with?
That's a great question. Do you want the answer that I tell people I'm dating or the real answer?
I want the real answer.
The real answer is I have no fucking clue. I got to
Yes.
200 and something in Hollywood. I made a black book. I know the famous people I've been with. That's easier, like about 12. But hundreds and hundreds, and I'm still alive. No AIDS. So
Hey, fucking tap that up. That's
love it,
great.
love it. Not dead.
Fuck
That's funny. I haven't been asked that yet. Okay, and final question I have for you. So what is coming up for you in 2025 and what do you still want to do this year?
Well, I'm gonna tour, record, work. I don't know. I don't really have like. I'm already doing what I want to do, what I ambition to do. So it's like I think at this point, my thing is to create enough time to do it all because it's
Yeah.
so much artwork. I want to get my podcast back going. I'll have you on it. It'll be great. I'll grill.
Yeah.
I'll grill you.
I got some rock
No,
star sex stories for sure.
there you go. Fuck what it's all about. I'll have my podcast going. I've had some good guys on there. Guys from Machine Head, Fang, a bunch of different punk bands, metal bands. I don't know if you ever heard of Psychosomatic or Rivers of Nile, Havoc.
No, I'm not
All
as familiar with that. It's like I'm more into the divorced dad rock. They call it late 90s, early 2000s, Papa Roach, Crossfade, Hinder, Alien Ant Farm. When I was skating, like I was
Yeah,
skating a lot 97 to 99 and like that music right there is my favorite, but I like a lot of shit. But that's like my jam.
I like the whatever's extreme.
Yeah. You're more
Yeah.
extreme. I mean, I like Marilyn Manson and shock rock. I like goth rock that gets extreme, but I appreciate Metallica and I appreciate Slayer and I'll go watch them. But I think it's like I was a little too young when they were at their peak. So I
Right.
like what I grew up with because it brings back nostalgic memories.
Yeah, for sure. Like you like
Yeah.
new metal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up with Limp Bizkit and Korn and Chevelle. And that's why I like Aftershock so much. I think it is geared towards people in their 40s that grew up on the early 2000s, kind of shit. And so, but they're having Testament, they're having Acid Bath, they are having some more punk and heavy metal bands and stuff. So that's cool.
I did see that Acid Bath on there. That did interest me.
Yeah, that's on Thursday on the first day. And so it is funny, they've got Acid Bath and then Blink-182, and you're like, that really mixes it up. That stage is it's kind of wild.
So you have the hookup on tickets or what?
So I'm running a contest starting May 1st. You got to enter it. All you have to do is like and reshare my post starting in May. That's 2 4-day tickets. Like I said, you're in the community. So why don't I just send you the guy that puts on Aftershock and just explain to him you're in the community. You can talk about Aftershock on your podcast, your show, and he may be able to hook it up with a ticket.
Yeah,
I don't
great.
have the tickets. You know what I mean? Like on me.
But. I don't ever go to shows, unless there's a reason, like
yes.
It's usually because I know somebody. Otherwise, I just stay home. I love
Same.
my home.
Me too.
My home. Sarah's built an awesome home, and we have a good family. And I just don't want to go anywhere. Unless I'm working or You got to pay me money to get off my couch.
Same.
Otherwise, I don't want to do shit.
I got emailed and got the tickets for Thunder Valley. So if you give me tickets or you give me band merch, I'm going to show up. If you hook me up with, you know, an album and tickets, or Aftershock is the only one I'm paid to do. I'm paid to do Vans Warped Tour in Long Beach again this year. You got to pay me, or I'm probably going to be at home rotting on my couch with my dog. Like, that's
what shirt size do you wear? Jesus Christ.
Oh, a large to fit around the girls. So
Luckily,
yeah, if you want to send me one, I will wear it during one of the podcasts. I would love that.
Awesome. Fuck yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Dude, thank you so much for stopping by Stef's Rock Show. And I'm looking forward. I got to